show will also originate from Appleton, Wisconsin. So it's a pleasure to be with you, as you never quite know when and where you're going to get Dubs OT on location. Sometimes you get it from LA. Sometimes you get it from Portland. Sometimes you get it from Salt Lake City. Sometimes you get it from Tampa. And a new one for Dubs OT, taking the show on the road in Appleton, Wisconsin. Appreciate everybody watching on YouTube and Twitch, as well as folks file into the YouTube stream. We got Kyle Chung in our San Francisco studios, and we have Greg Silver remotely overseeing everything as well. We'll see if we can chat with Greg at some point between now and the end of the program. But, yeah, we want to keep this thing as interactive as possible. As always, nice win for the Warriors. Yeah, I'm going to say it, because a win is a win is a win is a win. But, wow, I know I was in a different vote block, I guess, going back a couple of weeks ago when we had the whole conversation about the Warriors almost blowing leads. Tonight kind of got me. Like, you got to be able to not have that game get to the where the Pelicans have multiple chances to tie and or win the game in the closing seconds, basically because you're either missing free throws or you're turning the ball over when you have possession and you're in control and you're coming out of a timeout. And it was a real problem for the Warriors the last couple of years, and we saw them lose games in just awful fashion, just brutal fashion the last couple of years because of a lot of the things that they did in this game tonight. And I know they almost blew the lead against the Rockets. They almost blew the lead in Oklahoma City, and there have been a couple of other games where they've been up big and teams have kind of come back on them. But nothing like when the Warriors are up in that 4 to 6 point range in the final minute, and they just can't get the ball inbounded. They can't get the ball to the right shooter, and it ends up in a turnover that goes back the other way. The Warriors are really, really, really freaking fortunate that the Pelicans missed some shots and that Draymond clutched up defensively and on that final offensive rebound, really rebounding, clutch rebounding for the Warriors. A big part of the story in this one is the Warriors get the win and out-rebound the Pelicans 52-43 overall. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. That is the number if you want to jump in and join the conversation. The Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line is open as well, as the Warriors are continuing to roll here at the beginning of this season and continuing to pace the Western Conference, now winning for the 12th time in 15 games to continue to have the number one spot in the Western Conference and be a top 5 team throughout the league, with OKC just a half game back of them. You've got Cleveland, who finally took a loss. They're 16-1. Boston 13-3. The Celtics, the team that beat the Cavs. So the Warriors, again, not always pretty, but I thought, again, against a team that got a couple of guys back tonight, the Warriors facing Brandon Ingram, who had been out, Trey Murphy III, who had been out, and the Pelicans still just woefully undermanned in terms of injuries, an injury bug that really hit them going back to that little 2-game mini-series that the Warriors faced the Pelicans at the end of October. And the Warriors came out tonight, and they fell behind immediately early, looked a step slow in this game, I thought, early, down 10-5. Murphy and Ingram making their presence felt. The Warriors, though, then hit 3 straight threes, and the three-point shooting in particular in the first quarter is what stabilized things for the Warriors. You had a Draymond 3, a Curry 3, and a Wiggins 3. Boom, 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 back to back to back. And then Wiggins again hit another 3. He got out in transition. He was 3 for 3 from 3 at the beginning of this thing, had 13 points right out of the chute. The pace was extraordinary for the Warriors. The ball movement, I thought, in the first quarter after that sluggish start in the first couple of minutes, 11 assists on 14 buckets in the first quarter, and the 6 of 11 with a balanced attack from 3-point range, had the Warriors in what played out as a sort of defense optional type of a first quarter, but the Warriors had the lead after trailing, and then they pushed the lead all the way up to 38-30 early in the second quarter. Pelicans with a 10-0 run against the bench group of Podziemski, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, and Kyle Anderson, and that lead extended to a 13-0 run and the lead to 5 for the Pelicans after the Warriors had been up by 8. The starters, though, came back in and stabilized things. Bad defensive half, period. Point blank, bad defensive half for the Warriors. A lot of miscues on defense, a lot of doubles that really created some easy openings for the Pelicans to get to the basket. And the Warriors give up the tip at the end of the half, and they wind up finding themselves, they were trailing 63-62. So, yeah, Warriors not winning the battle of the benches at that point in the first half, although you look up at the end of the night and they did not win the battle of the benches, but it was essentially a tie, the Pelicans with a 1-point advantage, but not the dominance that we've seen from the Warriors. Buddy Hield struggled to shoot it, but still came up with a couple of big ones that the Warriors needed in the second half. But I thought Gary Payton II and Moses Moody came in the game in the third quarter and really allowed for the Warriors to extend the lead. Draymond went to the locker room briefly, but then came back. And Jonathan Kuminga, I thought, didn't play well overall necessarily in this game, but he was much more aggressive in the second half than he was in the first half, attacking the rim and looking to get to the bucket. And Kuminga, again, another 3 of 10 game for Kuminga, but I think the aggressiveness was there in 20 minutes, and he was somebody that I would put in the net positive category to the eye test as far as what he brought in that third quarter alone. And Kuminga a -1, despite the fact that he was 3 for 10, and I think took some ill-advised shots in the first half of the game, but really was putting his head down and trying to get to the bucket more in the second half. The Warriors needed that in that third quarter, and the Warriors go 25-21 in the third to go from 1 down to 3 up in the fourth quarter. And then Buddy Hield hit a big one to make it a 6-point game. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl really hurt the Warriors in this one also. 19 points and 12 boards in 23 minutes. And, not the best Trace Jackson Davis game at times. He got blocked at the rim in a couple of instances, but Steve Kerr pushing the right buttons in this one. He was playing Podziemski with Wiggins and Steph and Draymond. He had Moses Moody out there a little bit. I thought this was another example really of Steve Kerr just finding the right combinations on the right night to help propel the Warriors to have just enough to hang on for the 112-108 victory. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. As it is, John Dickinson here tonight. Dubs OT with JD on the Sports Leader. Thanks to everybody jumping in the YouTube chat. We'll get things going there here as well. And again, a couple of phone lines open if you want to jump in and join the conversation. Robert, take the win, says Robert, but damn, they were trying to trick that game. Yeah, they were. And it's just undeniable. It's undeniable tonight. It's sloppy and reckless. And it just really we've seen that too often almost be a thing. And tonight was the night where I thought it truly came the closest to actually leading to a defeat. And again, we've seen the Warriors lose some games from the exact position that they were leading down the stretch in here at a number of different points over the course of the last couple of years. Regulator, need a Mavs win tonight. That's right. The Warriors are 3-0 in group play in the Emirates Cup in-season tournament. And of course, the Warriors in that group with the Pelicans and Dallas and Denver and Memphis. And with the Warriors 3-0 and playing Denver as their final cup game coming up in about 10 days in Denver, the Warriors can clinch the group win. West Group C, if Dallas beats Denver, and Dallas is off to a 20-9 lead at Denver in that one, because the Mavs, the best they could do would be 3-1, and the Warriors, the worst they could do is 3-1. If the Mavs lose this one, they're 2-2. So the Warriors would have the group tiebreaker over the Mavs from that comeback win in the Klay Thompson return game, even if Dallas were to win tonight and win their final game. So the Warriors, even if they would lose to Denver on December the 3rd, it wouldn't matter if Denver loses tonight. They'd be 2-2. The Warriors would be 3-1. So, yeah, Warriors can not be assured a spot in Las Vegas quite yet. There's still one more round, but they would put themselves firmly in the round that puts them a game away from heading to Vegas in the Emirates Cup semifinals, which are going to be going on in the early to middle part of December. So, yeah, if you are into that sort of thing, then pull for Dallas, who has that lead, as I mentioned, on the Denver Nuggets early in the game. Rockin' New Era 84. Appreciate you, Rebel to Sounds. What up, JD, Greg, and the chat? Lance Malone making the point that I wanted to really make sure I got to in this first segment. Without Wiggins, this is a loss. Andrew Wiggins is looking more and more by the night like the Andrew Wiggins of 2021-22. And I found it interesting that I was watching the ESPN feed here in Wisconsin tonight. I'm not sure if that was available back in the Bay. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But being in Wisconsin, I watched the ESPN feed, and the ESPN broadcast was referring to the fact that Steve Kerr starting to acknowledge, and did in the ESPN meetings that he had, but starting to acknowledge that this team reminds him a little bit of the team 3 years ago that out of nowhere got off to this great start, and they were deep and the pieces fit together so well. And they got off to this massive, massive start and really never looked back. They played the whole season from a position of advantage, had some injuries at the end of that season, but had built up enough of a cushion to where they were very firmly entrenched as a 3 seed and a team that won 53 games in that year. And you look at the Warriors and how well they're connected at the beginning of this year. I think you can see it. They were really good defensively at the beginning of the year. They established a defensive identity at the beginning of that year. But Andrew Wiggins turned himself into the two-way player that for a major chunk of the entire season was the Warriors' second best player, flat out, straight up. And Wiggins is starting to do that again. Draymond has been terrific defensively. The Warriors have had some big scoring games from Buddy Hield. But Andrew Wiggins, game in, game out, seems more active, more energetic, more engaged, just bouncier, all the different things you want to see from Andrew Wiggins, who was basically traded off of this Warriors team in the offseason by the fan base. And he made his free throws tonight. Do you consider 22 of 29 for the Warriors overall progress? I think you do, just a tick under 76%. But Wiggins was 9 for 9. And tonight, I always say this, when you look at free throws, you got to look at who's missing the free throws. And tonight it was really Draymond who was the biggest culprit. TJD had 1 miss, but Draymond had 4 misses and a 2 of 6. Kuminga and Kyle Anderson, the others, with misses. But Andrew Wiggins, who knows what happens if this is a 6 for 9 Wiggins free throw shooting game. Wiggins goes for 30 for the first time on this season for the Warriors, and Andrew Wiggins looking really, really good. And I think, if you're looking for somebody that gets a game ball tonight, it's Andrew Wiggins. The Warriors do not win this game if Andrew Wiggins is not playing at the extremely high level that he was tonight. And it was offense and it was defense and it was knocking down the three ball, and it was getting to the free throw line, and it was rebounding, and it was just a little bit of everything. And so, yeah, major game ball to Andrew Wiggins for the Warriors as you look at his final line in this one. And yeah, he, again, a little bit of everything. Couple of blocks, had a steal, 4 assists, 3 boards, but attacking. And when Wiggins is knocking down the 3 ball and he's having an efficient, one of those 8 for 12s, 9 for 14 tonight, those type of games, it really is a game changer for the Warriors on a night where, Stephen Curry did as usual. Stephen Curry is great, 19, 7, and 7, but it wasn't a 30 to 35 point Steph Curry night. And really the Warriors didn't get the true secondary score from anywhere else. Draymond pitched in 11, Buddy Hield 12. Podziemski, I thought, had a nice game and an impactful game in this one tonight, but they needed not only Wiggins to be the 2, but tonight Wiggins to be the 1, and it helps propel them to that win. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Let's go ahead and take our first break. We'll come back. We'll dig deeper into the YouTube chat as well. Phone lines open at 808 KNBR, the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. Also, as the Warriors get the win to improve to 12-3, it's Dubs OT with JD here on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader. back with more Blue and Gold. This is Dubs OT with John Dickinson on the Sports Leader. Streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
This one to make it a two-possession game. Missed it. Rebound. Knocked around. Green hugs it back and is fouled again. And that is going to do it. With .4 remaining, Green going right back to the line.
Yeah, Draymond Green, couple of big rebounds, including off of his own missed free throw there in the final seconds. And that helps the Warriors avoid disaster and hang on for the 112-108 victory at New Orleans. Warriors are 12-3 through 15 games and 3-0 in group play of the Emirates Cup, with the finale for the Warriors in group play coming up December 3rd. They will take on the Nuggets, but if the Nuggets lose tonight, it won't even matter. Warriors will win Western Conference Group C and be a game away from being in the semifinals in Vegas. And for those scoring at home on that, and I don't want to belabor it too much, and we'll get to some calls here, 808 KNBR, we got a couple of lines open. We got a couple of people that want to chat. For those of you that are looking at when those games might have the potential to be, quarterfinal game would be December 10th or 11th. And given where the Warriors are at right now, if they end up unbeaten, we'll see if they end up unbeaten. But yeah, December 10th and 11th would be the potential dates. One of those two dates the Warriors would play, and quite possibly it would be a game that ends up getting played at Chase Center, especially if the Warriors wind up with a 4-0 record in the group play as well. So 808 KNBR, let's get to the phones. Danny in Vancouver joins us here on the Sports Leader. What's going on, Danny?
Hey, JD. Nice to talk to you as always. Just a few comments. Thank you. A few comments on the game. I pretty much agree with everything you said. You're bang on as usual. That fourth quarter was, I don't know which was worse, listening to Ryan Ruocco call the game or that last fourth quarter. Watching that to almost boot the game away, so that was hard. I was quite pleased to see Podziemski have a good bounce-back game. I thought he was really productive. Didn't hit the threes, but I think that will come. I thought I agreed with you. Kuminga was like a passable. He had a net positive game. Although in the first half it was pretty ugly. I thought. He looks lost out there. It really looks lost. Wiggins has been playing great, and I think if he's hitting his threes, JD, he's really tough because he's got the space to drive and he's really effective. So I'm really happy to see him play well. So love to hear your rebuttal. And also I was curious about one thing. Is there a chance that Melton could come back for the playoffs? Thanks again, JD.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think it's too early to tell. I think we got to find out when he actually has the surgery and the extent of the tear. Again, it went down as a sprain, which you don't typically see with an ACL, but all sprains are small tears. So I think it was deemed after further evaluation that he should have the surgery. And I think once they go in and actually do the surgery, they'll have a better feel for just how long the rehab process would be. I would imagine that's a no. However, though, you look at ACL, the regular season ends basically 5 months from right now, or the playoffs start 5 months from this weekend, right around this time in April. So I would say, the Warriors would have to really, 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 they'd have to extend it by a couple of months to even give it a shot. But even 7 months, I would say, might be pushing it a little bit. But when Wiggins hits the three, Wiggins just looks like he's in good shape to me. That's my big Wiggins take. Like, Wiggins looks like he's in good shape, and he looks healthy. He looks bouncy. I don't know. He just looks like a different guy. But yeah, when he hits the three ball, this Warriors team is so difficult to beat. I mean, it just opens everything else up for him. It opens everything else up for the rest of this Warriors team. When you know Wiggins is going to get the ball in the corner and knock those down, it's a game changer. I thought Kuminga salvaged the second half. I agree with you, Danny. I thought Kuminga was pretty bad in the first half and didn't necessarily know when he wanted to shoot, and he was forcing the action. I thought in the first half, and a little bit out of sorts tonight in terms of trying to figure out how he wanted to fit in. I thought in the second half he put his head down, he went to the bucket, and I thought he salvaged the night overall. Bad first half, passable second half, and again, you look up and he didn't totally kill him. I mean, they were doing enough other things well to where they had the advantage in the game. And so I think that's a positive sign. I'm glad you brought up Podziemski, because Podziemski was back to forget about shot making and even forget about plus minus, because I think he ended up being a negative for the game. If I'm looking at it right here, he ended up being a -4, but I do think Podziemski got back to doing the other things that he does well. He moved the ball, he rebounded, didn't hit the three again, but he was 5 for 6 on twos and hit a free throw. And so I think that's important. Had a couple of offensive rebounds. He was much more in his 21 minutes, I feel like, the connector that the Warriors need him to be. And I relate that back still to Draymond Green the other night and his post-game press conference, and the fact that he basically told Podziemski, like, quit worrying about whether you make shots or not. Do the other things, because the other things are what help him be a winning player for this team. So I thought tonight Podziemski got back to being that guy for sure. And yeah, as far as the rest of it goes, you're not going to win them all pretty. And tonight was definitely ugly. And we had a few people, in the YouTube chat going at it as far as, Rebel to Sounds. This was a tough win. Estimated highs, we can leave nice out of it in terms of a nice win. Lance Malone, they tried to lose. Kitchen Handy. Good job, Warriors. Barely beating a team missing CJ and Zion. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as you get the win, there's no style points. Again, as long as you're beating good teams too, it doesn't matter if you're almost losing bad teams. Good teams almost losing to bad teams, especially on the road, is not something that I ever worry about. Never, ever, ever, never do I worry about good teams barely beating, shorthanded teams or bad teams on the road. It's a part of the deal. Now, you lose a couple of these games like that, and that's where you end up getting a problem. All right, Ed in San Francisco next here on the Sports Leader, 808 KNBR. Hey, Ed. Ed, are you there?
Oh, never mind. It's X. What's up, Jay? John Dickinson. What's going on, dude?
What's going on, man? It's X. Okay, got you, brother.
Sorry. I think piggybacking off what you said, everybody kind of forgets these guys get paid to play the game too. They were really good tonight. If I was one of the starters that's out on the Pels, I'm not feeling comfortable about my job right now. And also, I just want to admit to everybody out there, I was wrong about Wiggins. We shouldn't have traded him. He did great tonight. It's awesome. It was great to see him he was just taking over. It was awesome. Loved it. That's it. Everybody have fun in the YouTube chat. John Dickinson, you're great. Have a good one.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. 808 KNBR, line open, 415-808-5627, as is the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. Open as well, as the Warriors beat the Pelicans 112 to 108. And for sure, I mean, the Pelicans are trying to prevent their season from completely getting off the rails right now. I mean, they have been so banged up, and they got Brandon Ingram and Trey Murphy back in this one. They've been playing without those two and Zion and Alvarado. I mean, and CJ McCollum. I mean, they've been. I mean, just imagine if you're the Warriors and you take Steph out with Buddy Hield and Draymond and Wiggins, and you're like, yeah, go play. I mean, this Warriors team would not be in good shape, and the Pelicans are 4-13 on the season, and they're just trying to stay afloat until they can get some of those guys back, and they got a couple of them back tonight, and try to make a push. I mean, they're already – you get 9-10 games under 500 this early in the year. I mean, that is tough stuff. I mean, you got to be really freaking good for a long time to be able to make up that kind of ground. And so the Pelicans were a team that I wasn't as high on compared to where they finished last year and some of the moves that they made in the offseason. DeJounte Murray, another one. I mean, they've just been absolutely gutted by injury here in the early part of this season. And so sometimes it's just ugly. Sometimes you just got to win ugly. And as long as you're beating good teams and as long as you're able to go to Boston and win, as long as you're able to go to Oklahoma City and win, as long as you're able to beat teams like Dallas at home, as long as you're winning game, as long as those are not the only wins, then you can be in pretty good shape with that kind of layout. And look, the Warriors have some games where you look up and, Washington on the road is one. I thought the Memphis game where the Grizzlies got back in it was another one. I mean, there have been some kind of, plodding along, play well for certain stretches of the game, but then have to fight yourself in others to not have it really get dicey. But it's a skill to not have those games turn into losses. And again, I just compare this Warriors team that's had a bunch of these games where it's gotten real janky. And tonight I think was as janky as any, with the multiple turnovers late, not being able to get the ball in, Pelicans missing some open looks to be able to tie or take the lead, win the game in the closing seconds. Tonight was probably as bad as it gets as far as that goes for the Warriors. But we've seen them in the last 2 years actually lose those games. So I'm still going to focus on the fact that I believe that it goes into the category of progress, top to bottom. 808 KNBR, Drew is next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Drew. This is Drew down.
What's going on, JD?
What's up, brother? Yeah, what's going on, man?
Call screener didn't even know me, bro. I felt a little disrespected, but I'll let it slide.
Hey, Drew, real quick, just and I know you sometimes you're in and out of the chat and all that, but just take a moment when you get done with the call, Drew down, and just welcome Kyle Chung, who's in our studio. He's kind of one-man banding it tonight. We're Greg Silver's going to be around, but we're going by committee here. We got a team of a lot of good young cats that are trying to make the thing happen. And so now Kyle knows you, and we'll move on with it, and it won't happen again, my friend.
All right. Apologies to Kyle. Sorry about that. I didn't know all that. But man, this team just loves to give us a heart attack, man. But I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet. Just three things I got. Andrew Wiggins was incredible tonight. Without his performance, I think this is definitely an L. The biggest thing for me was the 9 for 9 from the free throw line. If he can shoot like that, he's one guy who can get to the rim and definitely draw fouls. So Wiggins was absolutely incredible tonight. This was especially in the first half. The defense over-rotating, over-helping, leaving Trey Murphy open in the corner. They were getting killed. Corner three
Bad
after corner
defense.
three. I thought
Awful
they cleaned it up in the second.
Defense.
Yeah, I thought they cleaned it up in the second half, especially out of the gate. I definitely see them sticking on the shooters, but I don't know what they were doing, but that was just incredibly frustrating to leave these guys wide open in the corner like that. And then my last thing is just the turnovers, the careless passes, especially towards the end of the game, literally almost cost them the game. Steph and Draymond Green cannot combine for 8 turnovers. We can't. We're a good team, but we can't just turn the ball over like that and give up shots and give the other team, transition opportunities. So we escaped tonight, but I know that's been a problem, for the entirety of this Warriors team. But the aggressive ones I get, but some of them are just careless, lazy passes. You just can't, take your time. It's just incredibly frustrating to watch. So I hope that, they take care of that. But knowing this team, I doubt it will happen. But got the W. Let's move on. Thanks, Eddie.
Well, it's the guys who are doing it. As you mentioned, it's Draymond 4 and Curry 4. And Kyle Anderson had 3 and 5 minutes of playing time tonight. He was not good in this game. And that right there, 16 is not a terrible total number. 12 is like an A plus grade. Steve Kerr has said. So if you have 12, he could live with 12 and basically maybe not an A plus grade, but an A grade. An A minus grade is a 12. So 16 is kind of a C, I would say. It's not horrific when you start pushing 20, getting a little closer to 20 or over 20. I mean, that's a fail, but it's kind of a C minus, I think, with the 16. But then you look at 4, 8 of the 16 are Steph and Draymond, and then Kyle Anderson, 3 more, 11 of the 16 are those 3 guys, and Kyle Anderson only played 5 minutes in the game. So that's the part where when you say it's not going to change, it's probably not going to change because it's your two primary ball handlers and your 2 best players that are the guys who have it. But they've got to be a little bit more sure-handed and under control in these final 2 minutes, up a couple of baskets, but in control. That is the one area where I don't care about a 30-point lead that gets down to 2 or goes to overtime or anything like that. The ones that I can't have are where it's a 6-point game with a minute left and you go, somebody hits a 3, turnover, somebody hits a 2, turnover, then you're in a wild scramble up 1 when you were just up 6 to try and prevent a team from winning the game against you right there. Those are the scenarios that I think have to be avoided at all costs. 831 Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. What sloppy play by the Warriors. No control of their passes. It's carelessness, I think. Tonight was carelessness. Tonight was not supreme ball pressure. Tonight was just being a little unsure as you're trying to put a game away and getting a little in between and a little careless, and it all adds up to a bad scenario for the Warriors. So let's go ahead and pause here. We'll come back. We'll get more from the YouTube chat. A lot to get into as the comments continue to pile up. Appreciate everybody joining the conversation here on YouTube and Twitch. Dallas and Denver going at it. Dallas with a 47-42 lead at Denver. That an Emirates Cup Western Conference Group C match to where if the Mavs win, the Warriors will win Group C and advance to the quarterfinals, which means they will play on December 10th or 11th. Not quite to Vegas yet, but it would put them a step away from Vegas. Bigger picture, Warriors are 12-3 through 15 games and atop the Western Conference. Will continue to react to this one. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. It's Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader. Hoops Heads, Dubs OT with John Dickinson keeps balling. Streaming live at twitch.tv/thesportsleader.
Jackson Davis lays it in off the delivery from Green. And now Golden State has its largest lead of the night. Curry twisting through, kicking out. Kajemski, 5 to shoot. Green, what a pass! And Curry the lay.
All right, Warriors win 112-108. We're back here. It's Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader, 808 KNBR. Still time to jump in and join the conversation if you want to via the phone lines. As we roll on here on this Friday, Warriors with the quick 2-game roadie back-to-back down in the South with San Antonio tomorrow, Pelicans tonight, and then the Warriors coming right back home. They'll play Brooklyn, they'll play Oklahoma City, and then go to Phoenix and Denver. So the games are coming much more rapid fire. But as you look at where the Warriors are at in this one, they improved to 12-3, and the Warriors still atop the Western Conference. Andrew Wiggins, I think the headliner for Golden State in this one tonight. Andrew Wiggins goes for 30 in the win, along with 3 boards, 4 assists, a steal, a couple of blocks. He was really active. He made 3 3-pointers in 5 attempts and 9 for 9 from the free throw line in this one to help lead the Warriors. He was the leading scorer tonight and the only Warriors player over 20, let alone 30. So Andrew Wiggins, they did get the 19 from Steph Curry, but Andrew Wiggins leading the way for the Warriors in this matchup against the Pelicans. Now 6-2 are the Warriors, actually 7-2 are the Warriors with the win away from Chase Center. So 9 games away from Chase Center. Tomorrow will be the 10th. They've played just 6 at home, and they're playing well at home to boot at 5-1 in the first 6 games of the season on the home floor. All right, back to the YouTube chat we go. 808 KNBR is the number. The YouTube chat rebelled to sounds after the first quarter. The game got sloppy, a lot of turnovers, plus the inconsistent calls continue. Regulator, Steph didn't look good down the stretch. Yeah, he had a couple of awful turnovers. I mean, it was him and Draymond, as we were discussing before the break. Him and Draymond are the biggest culprits of a lot of these turnovers in the worst moments when games should be in check and in control. And so Max Lopez chiming in on something that I had the thought a lot here in the last couple of weeks, and tonight it really came to the forefront for me as Max chimes in. I'm just here as someone who refuses to comment when all of y'all wanted to trade Wiggins for a bag of chips to tell you all how petty you were. Yeah, Wiggins, again, that was the one thing that I was adamant about. And look, there were really, it was 2 things for me. One was Wiggins cannot have the same availability issues that he's had the last couple of years. And to this point, he has not. But also, I was of the belief that if you're the Warriors, you absolutely cannot trade Andrew Wiggins in what I deem to be an addition by subtraction deal. I think too many Warrior fans viewed Andrew Wiggins as if just get him the hell out of here and bring anybody back. Bring Zach LaVine back. Bring Brandon Ingram back. You got a little head-to-head on that matchup. Andrew Wiggins is kicking Brandon Ingram's ass tonight. And when he's engaged, and again, because engagement, I think, is an issue for both at times, but when he's engaged, he's just as good as or better in terms of being a two-way player as Brandon Ingram. I don't think there's much doubt about that. But yeah, the Zach LaVine one was the one that drove me nuts in the offseason. Just trade him just bring LaVine. Look, LaVine's never sniffed being a winning player in his career. And Wiggins, at least, and LaVine's a guard. He's a guard, and he's kind of a chucker from 3-point range. So that was one where I know there was a lot of angst and a lot of frustration in the immediate aftermath when the Warriors struck out on Paul George, and it sounded like didn't want to include Kuminga in the deal, although the Clippers weren't going to do the deal anyway, and then struck out on Lauri Markkanen. Just move Wiggins for anybody. They held firm. They were patient, and Andrew Wiggins is rewarding that patience. And let's be honest, a second, maybe a third chance to get his game back on track. I think that's also something that not a lot of players typically do get. But Wiggins is getting it, and he's making the Warriors look good on it. And it has legitimately turned into Steph, Draymond, and Wiggins. I'm not going to call it a big three, but those three are coming back into games together now to close out halves and to close out the game tonight. Like, those three are going to be on the court. I talked about this the other night. 3/5 of your closing lineup. And now it's up to Steve Kerr to figure out the other two guys on a night-in, night-out basis. And knowing that you have Wiggins part of that is huge because he's such a complementary force to Steph and Draymond. He's that wing that you need, that can score, that can shoot the three, that can defend. He has that body type of the types of players that give the Warriors a lot of trouble. And when he's locked in and can hold his own against those kinds of players, those wings, then the Warriors are much more a formidable opponent for it. And so Andrew Wiggins, you get a lot of credit for that, and the Warriors get credit for not just dumping him for Zach LaVine. Greg Silver, JD in the YouTube chat. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of right before the show was starting, we were kind of languishing, and I brought my board up here, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll link up and maybe post some comments as I kind of navigate everything. But yeah, Robert mentioned earlier, estimated eyes. Pels lost their asses to the Mavs last game, but they played them really hard 2 or 3 quarters. Rebel to Sounds, how much is Steph's knee bothering him? Stay tuned. I always think, and we'll see. Tomorrow, I would definitely say keep an eye on the injury report tomorrow with the back-to-back. And the Warriors, I'm looking at their schedule at the beginning here. The Warriors have not had the only back-to-back off the top of my head was the 2 games against the Pelicans at home. And those were games that Steph Curry missed because he got hurt in the game against the Clippers before that. But yeah, I'm looking at, Houston, Washington, Boston, Cleveland, OKC. There was a day off in between all of those. There was the Mavs and a couple of days off, the Grizzlies, and then a couple of days off. Then it was Clippers, Hawks, Pelicans. So yeah, this is only the second back-to-back for the Warriors. And this is one of those where it's 4 games basically in 6 nights. And so I wonder if the Warriors with their depth would look to maybe it's really the first possible rest game for the Warriors. And the comment about Steph and the knee for Rebel to Sounds is what it makes me wonder. Like, would you maybe give somebody a night off tomorrow, second of a back-to-back, knowing that you're playing again Monday against Brooklyn, knowing that you're playing again against Oklahoma City Wednesday, and what a fun game that's going to be at Chase the night before Thanksgiving. Then it's Phoenix and Denver. There's going to be a lot of fun over the next couple of weeks, and more barometers I think, for this Warriors team. And then the Emirates Cup, which it's looking more and more like the Warriors are going to wind up being in the quarterfinals for that on December 10th or 11th, because Dallas is up 18 at Denver in the Nikola Jokic return game with 38 seconds to go in quarter number 2, first half in Denver. FL Dubs fan, we were really lucky to win that game. Steph did not have a great game mentally. Too many turnovers. I knew Dre would not be able to get that ball in. We were so lucky. I had the same thought on the Dre when they took the last time out and they got to inbound it and get fouled. And I had the exact same thought. I thought because it seems like they never get the ball in that situation. These last couple of years, like, I don't know what is going on. They just look tentative. They look rattled. They look shook. They do not look like a team that typically has at least 2 future Hall of Famers plus other champion level players on the court. They just do not look comfortable in those instances. And you could feel it. And I almost felt like they could feel it was coming. and that's not a good place to be. Not a good place to be. Joe Schmo, the cup is a joke, but still entertaining. It's supposed to count towards stats and standings. Yeah, it's just a different way to dress up regular season games. The only game that doesn't count is if you make it all the way to the final, which is an East versus West winner, basically. And that will be, those two teams will play an 83rd game, but it will not count in the standings. All the other games count in the standings. All the other games count as far as the stats go. But that one does not count because then you'd have 2 teams playing 83 and everybody else is playing 82. But the way they designed it, I still, and I guess money is the motivating factor behind why guys are truly motivated by it. But for me, I'm stunned at how competitive those games specifically have appeared to be. But you can't deny it. They really have been, for the most part, well-played games with added juice. And again, the way the league did it, as far as you've got your 3 group winners plus the next best team that isn't a group winner in each conference. Those are your 4 who make it in each conference. So you basically have the quarterfinals are 4 West, 4 East. And then you whittle that down to 2 West, 2 East, and those final 4 end up in Vegas to play the semifinals and the finals. And the semifinals are going to be December 14th. The NBA announced that today. So, yeah, the Warriors, if they end up in the quarterfinals, will play either the 10th or the 11th, site to be determined. And then they will play the 14th. This 14th is the semifinals. So West and East semifinal on the 14th. And then December 17th, a Tuesday night, is going to be the in-season tournament. Emirates Cup now. They don't really refer to it as the in-season tournament, but I refer to it as the Emirates Cup in-season tournament. They play the championship game in Vegas on Tuesday, December 17th. So, yeah. And again, the way they do it with the schedule, if you don't make the quarterfinals, then they divvy up 2 games home and away for all the teams that don't make it. They play on different days as part of their regular season schedule. You play one on the 12th and the 13th. You play one on the 15th and the 16th. If you don't make the quarterfinals or the semifinals, and then it balances out. Like, they really had a good formula to it. But, yeah, I'm still stunned at how competitive it winds up being. Estimated Eyes Cup's not a joke. They've been great games. I can't deny it. Rebel to Sounds Pods looks like he's lost his shooting confidence. Yeah, he's got to stick with it. Alpha, JD, great win. A bit sloppy, but still got the job done. Got to clean up the Greggy's observing, and Greg's going to be with me tomorrow for Dubs OT as well. Back in his, back in the chair, back in the Kyle Chung chair in our San Francisco studios. Kyle doing a great job tonight. We've had Ryan McCarthy this week. We've had a bunch of people this week. Cole LaPelt helping out this week. Kyle Haar is going to be joining us next week, much more regularly as well. But no, it has been a village here as Greg transitions to the 10-2 slot. And again, I know I've said it every show. Like Greg is still going to be a part of things, but it's going to be more as a guest. It's going to be more as a guest contributor. Hopping on and joining the stream. But Greg's going to be out at Harmonic. A little birdie told me on Monday. So we'll be able to chat there, and he's going to be able to join the show virtually as well as we move forward here and welcome some new members of the Dubs OT family. I'm digging the community vibe this week with Kyle Chung helping out and Ryan McCarthy helping out and Cole LaPelt helping out and just everybody. I'm digging that community vibe. But Greg's around. Greg's always watching, even if he's not necessarily participating in the action. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Warriors did win it 112-108. So they are 12-3 and right up there with the Cavs and the Celtics. Warriors, the third best record in the NBA, leading the Western Conference 15 games into the season, playing at an 800 clip. Andrew Wiggins doing his thing in this one tonight. A hell of an effort from Andrew Wiggins, and we shall see where the Warriors wind up as far as being able to continue this regular season connectivity, which has allowed them to get out to the start that they are off to, and how far can that start carry you? You get to 12-3, 13-3, you get to 10 over, and I always like to do this with the Met. You get to 10 over, where the Warriors could be this time tomorrow night. You get to 10 over, you could go 500 for the rest of the season, and you'd have the exact same record as you did last year. And I think everybody would acknowledge the fact that this team is better than last year's team, and this team is better than 2 years ago's team. Balance, flow, identity, both balance in terms of age and skill set. So I think everybody would agree with that. But this team's already to a point where every game they get above 10 over, if they can get to 10 over and beyond, almost starts counting toward an extra win to last year's overall record, which ended up being 46-36 and good enough for 10th in the Western Conference. And again, I am on record, and I am going to continue to say it. I'm going to shout it. I do not think the Western Conference is going to be anywhere near as good when it's all said and done as it was last year. You are not going to have teams that need to win 50 on the last day of the season to eke out a spot in the top 6 and avoid the play-in tournament. It is going to be much more, in my mind, like it was 2 years ago, although there are some teams separating, like the Warriors and the Thunder and even the Rockets, who are 12-5. Lakers are 10-5. They dropped that heartbreaker last night to Orlando, but they had been on a hot streak. So there are some teams starting to separate, but I'm looking at, Phoenix without Durant and others has fallen apart. They've lost 5 in a row after they were 9-2 to begin the year. Denver got off to an awful start, then got it rolling. Then Jokic has been out. They're 8-5. But again, I just think all these teams are in the mid. I think they're all kind of mid-40s. Memphis 9-7, Clippers 9-7, Dallas 8-7, Minnesota 8-7. I mean, those are some teams. Dallas and Minnesota are barely over 500, and those teams think they're going to be major players in the Western Conference. Sacramento is 11th right now in the West at 8-7, and they think they're going to be a major player in the Western Conference and a team that believe they should be in the top six. And speaking of a couple of those teams, Clippers and the Kings going at it at Intuit Dome tonight. Kings haven't played since Monday, and the Clippers early. Sacramento always has that tendency to get down big and then make a run and get back in a game or flip a game. But the Clippers play Sacramento just about equally as well this season as they've played the Warriors. And LA's got a 39-21 lead on Sacramento midway through quarter number 2. That game down at Intuit Dome in Southern California. So, we'll see what shakes out there. But I think you got a lot of teams that are going to be in the low to mid 40s. And I think those teams are going to be the teams that are going to end up competing for 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think there's going to be I think it's going to be a lot more bunched up with a lower win total that will be necessary to get one of the higher seeds, which bodes really well for the Warriors as they get off to the 12-3 start and continue to push ahead and separate. If the Warriors can stay hot and stay at this level in the regular season, they're gonna have a hell of a shot at a top 4 seed in the Western Conference as everything else continues to really be so jumbled up. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627 as the Warriors win it 112-108 in New Orleans. And the Warriors going to be in San Antonio tomorrow. We'll get a little fun with numbers coming up at the bottom of the hour and continue in the YouTube chat with a lot of our regulars. But yeah, if we'll see what the Warriors do tomorrow in terms of maybe they rest some guys. We'll see. I know Steve Kerr did tell Sam Gordon of the Chronicle that he's anticipating everyone being available against San Antonio, quote, via Sam Gordon. We'll see how everybody holds up and comes out the aftermath of this game. Basically, stay tuned. And watch that injury report it's usually 1 o'clock in the time zone of wherever you're playing is when that injury report comes out. So about 11 a.m., which is when I'm going to be back on the air. Babbling after Larry Krueger does 49er Forecast. I'll be back on Babbling for an hour.
Andrew is feeling great.
Babbling for the last 25 minutes as well. But I digress. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. 90 minutes in the books here. We'll pause. We'll get some fun with numbers. We'll continue to let the people speak their piece in the YouTube chat as the Warriors win it. KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
I'm Scarlett Johansson. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals help fuel my love for acting. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Everyone has a community, a neighborhood, school, place of worship, or other chosen groups. Communities can provide support when you need it, including helping your kids avoid underage drinking and other substance use. Learn more at talktheyhearyou.samhsa.gov.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/actnow. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Everyone has a community, a neighborhood, school, kids' teams, where you worship, work out, or any other place or group where you choose to belong. Communities can provide support when you need it, and even when you don't know you do. Like when it comes to preventing underage drinking and other substance use. Community members can be your eyes and ears when you're not with your kids and alert you to signs of potential problems. Learn more at talktheyhearyou.samhsa.gov.
Oftentimes, the wheelchairs our veterans and first responders receive from their healthcare providers are subpar at best. Some are falling apart, with a years-long waiting list for a new one. This lag causes a tremendous amount of stress for our heroes and creates a burden for their caregivers. Isolation leads to depression. We build what they need to get outdoors, hunting, fishing, or playing sports. Join the mission at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
New Orleans had been 4 for their last 21 from 3 as Wiggins spins it in off the window plus the foul.
This is KNBR, and this is Dubs OT with John Dickinson, streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
New Orleans had been 4 for their last 21 from 3 as Wiggins spins it in off the window plus the foul.
All right, big night for Andrew Wiggins. Big night for Wiggins. 30 points. Warriors win 112-108. We're back here, Dubs OT with JD. We'll get a little truncated sounds of JD tonight and some fun with numbers. Dive back into the YouTube chat. Still time to sneak in a couple of calls if you want. We had some good calls early on in the program reacting to this one. It wasn't pretty for the Warriors, but they didn't blow it, which we've seen them do at different points here the last couple of years. We'll also take a look at what's going on around the NBA in terms of some of the big games in the league, including one that the Warriors specifically are paying attention to in the NBA Cup. We'll update you on that and where it leaves the Warriors. But let's get to, a truncated edition of Sounds of JD. Some of the weather issues back in our San Francisco studios creating some problems as far as being able to get some of the post-game sound tonight. So we did get a couple of clips, and big thanks to Anthony Garcia as well for hopping on that and able to get us a couple of pieces of audio that we can play for you here. And just diving right into it, a couple of Steve Kerr clips And the first one was on the headliner from tonight. He discussed Andrew Wiggins' performance.
Andrew is feeling great. You saw him knock down all the threes early, his free throws. He looked fantastic out there. His defense on Ingram. So a lot of good stuff. I just think he's in a great frame of mind. The last couple of years have been very tough on him on a personal level, and I think he's got some peace of mind. He came into camp in great shape. He's got a great family behind him. He's got a lot of good things going for him in his life, and he's in a really good place.
Yeah, and he's playing like somebody who's in a really good place right now, and the Warriors need it. And again, as has been the theme of this show, the Warriors are starting to look smart. Not that we really care about that, but if it leads to winning at the level that it has, an 800 clip here in the first 15 games of the season, then you feel that the Warriors deserve some of that benefit of the doubt for not just trading Wiggins when I think a lot of other organizations would have, and I think when the fan base probably overwhelmingly would have as well. And now the Warriors reaping the benefits of all of that because they do. I don't want to call them a big three, but you definitely know who the third most important Warriors player is. And I think coming into the year, you kind of wondered, who is it going to be in terms of scoring after Steph? It's, I think, most consistently been Buddy Hield. There's been some Kuminga, but Wiggins has really emerged in the games where he's been healthy and available as that guy who is going to be out there in all the big moments. So Andrew Wiggins, big part of headlining the Warriors' victory over the Pelicans, as ugly as it was, which gets us to our next clip here from Steve Kerr, our truncated edition of Sounds of JD here on Dubs OT with JD and the Sports Leader. Steve Kerr addressed the elephant in the room, which was they kind of got outplayed at times and had to win ugly.
Not great. But, a game like this, you take the win and you run. You just get out of the arena and get to the airport and enjoy the win and watch the tape later and figure out what you can do better. But so this was going to be a tough game. Obviously them getting Ingram and Murphy back and, a desperate team. I thought they played really hard tonight, right from the beginning, set a tone. And fortunately we responded, but I thought they outplayed us for much of the game. They only had 10 turnovers. We had 17. So we've got to be better. But again, thrilled with the victory.
Yeah, again, you take it, you get the heck out of there, and you move on to the next. And look, I think we've seen the Warriors in some of these games that have been a little underwhelming. You know what we've seen? We've seen them bounce back the next game and play a heck of a lot better. And so I think that's the part that you want to be able to have come to fruition tomorrow. 224 Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. Warriors handle the lowly Pelicans, should do the same to the Spurs tomorrow night. Yeah, we'll see. It hasn't totally been the lowly Spurs, although they do come in currently 12th in the Western Conference. 8-8 overall. The Spurs have been pretty good at home. Spurs have been really good at home so far this season. 7-3 in 10 home games. They're 1-5 on the road. So San Antonio's been formidable. It's the second of a back-to-back for the Warriors, and typically they like to allow for teams to both be on a back-to-back if you can. But looking at it, as far as the way things shook out, San Antonio played last night at home against Utah. They beat them 126-118, and they didn't play tonight. So it's not a back-to-back for San Antonio. It will be a back-to-back for the Warriors going from New Orleans to San Antonio before heading home and being back in action against Brooklyn on Monday at Chase Center. So that's a game where you could get got. And I don't put the Spurs at 8-8 and 7-3 at home in nearly the same category that you put the Pelicans in at now 4-13 with the loss here and just dreadfully injured and 1-7 away, 3-6 at home. So yeah, tomorrow is going to be a much more difficult opponent for all of those reasons that I laid out for the Warriors, and how they're able to react and respond to it. I think it's a good little test. It's a good test because you look at some of the wins that the Warriors have had, whether it's been OKC or Houston or Boston on the road, whether it's been Dallas at home. They've had some clunker games against the Clippers. Clippers have played them well. Clippers are starting to become a plucky, vibrant, kind of a poor man's version of the Warriors in a sense. Defensive identity with a lot of length. You don't know who their second scorer necessarily is going to be after James Harden. Harden kind of controls the game the way that he does. They've got some bigs and Zubats that can pose problems for opponents. And they're just kind of young and athletic. And they've got some guys who've been around in Batum and Norman Powell, who just annihilates the Warriors. And so they're one of those teams that I think could very easily end up winning, even without Kawhi Leonard, whose return is not on the horizon. They could wind up being a team that ends up winning 44, 45 games, and it wouldn't necessarily surprise you. So they've had some bad games against those teams the Warriors have had, but San Antonio's really a unique type team because they are up and coming with Wemby, and then you look at where they stand with some of the veterans that they've added as well, and some of the balance as far as that goes. So we'll see. Spurs much more competitive at home than they've been away from home, and I think that bodes to make it for an interesting night for the Warriors there. All right, back to the YouTube chat as we kind of wrap things up, and we'll do fun with numbers here as well. We'll keep things going about another 10, 12 minutes or so, and then I'm going to call it a night. We'll reconvene tomorrow, 11 o'clock, 11 to noon for Just Dubs here on KNBR, and then we've got another Dubs OT tomorrow. That game tipping, 5:30 Pacific time. So look for us around 7:45 to 8 o'clock Pacific time on KNBR, on the KNBR YouTube and Twitch streams as well. 510 Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. Game ball to Pods, finally finding his shot again. Well, he didn't find his 3-point shot again, but he found his 2-point shot. 5 of 6 from 2 for Pods, but 0 for 5 from 3. And he was doing other stuff. So I do give a game ball to Pods because he was somebody that Steve Kerr wanted to have out there at the end of the game. 408 Wiggins playing like his all-star self, back to form this season. LFG. Yeah, I think that is something that is echoed by a lot of Warrior fans, without a doubt. Estimated eyes in the YouTube chat, 0 for 5 at the 3-point line for Pods, as we discussed. Rebel to Sounds, Lindy Waters having a shooting slump. Kerr likes Waters. I think he likes being able to keep him in the starting lineup, and then if Waters isn't playing well, you just don't play him the rest of the half or the rest of the game. It kind of makes it an easy sub to get him in, get to say you played him, but then I'll finish with Pajemski or I'll finish with Moody tonight, as was the case. So I think in some ways it makes it a little bit easier to be able to balance getting as many different players as possible into the fold. Andis Brown, good to hear from you, Andis. The worst perimeter defense the Warriors played this season. They gave up a lot of blow-bys and had to rotate too many times tonight. Yeah, they were a step slow tonight. They were a step slow tonight. They were doubling and leaving space. A lot of what we've seen when they haven't played well this season, it's the overhelping. It's being maybe a little bit too aggressive and allowing some opportunities for the opposition to get really good looks, draw and kick looks, or a lot of looks right at the rim for easy buckets. San Jose Jazz fan 4 Actually, I'm not going to read that one. A little back and forth in the YouTube chat here. FL Dubs fan, it works better for JK when he gets his inside game working before launching threes. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. But they've told him, in fairness to him, that they want him taking open threes if they are there to be taken, and not getting carried away with it, looking to drive first. But they want him being comfortable because I think they know that that's something that he values. And here's my Kuminga hope. I hope that part of Kuminga struggling a little bit of late in terms of the overall numbers, because I don't think his floor game has been nearly as bad as maybe his numbers have been. But I hope that it's not a frustration for not feeling like he's as big a part of things as he wants to be, or that he's not getting the ability to flourish and show off his game and get paid and be considered more than a role player. And I no intel on that, and I'm not, and I don't even really want to be accusatory about it because you don't know. But I just hope Kuminga is not in a confidence funk, basically because he's not getting the minutes and he's not getting the touches that he feels he should get. Anytime it gets, I was floored the other night that Kuminga's minutes came up in conversation in the postgame because, one, I didn't think he played that badly. Two, I didn't think he played all that well to demand more minutes. So it was kind of 6-1, half a dozen of another in that respect. But I also think even when the numbers haven't been good, he's been able to contribute toward winning, and I think his numbers had really been good for 3 weeks up until maybe the last handful of games, going back to the Memphis game a week ago tonight. So I don't really think anybody needed to be up in arms about Kuminga not playing a bunch of minutes. But then it got asked in the post-game press conference, which makes me wonder if somebody in Kuminga's camp is frustrated enough to say, hey, to maybe prod that question to be asked. And again, I'm not coming down anybody's road or anybody's reporting or anything like that. It's just, I found it to be a little bit curious from my standpoint that there was such a discussion about Jonathan Kuminga's minutes in a game where the Warriors won in blowout fashion against the Hawks. And so I hope for JK's sake, and I agree with FL Dubs fan, works better when he gets his inside game going before launching threes. Those are his best games. But I just, again, I hope it's not about wanting to be the number 2 guy and yeah, we're winning, but I don't have a big enough role. Joe Schmo, boots on the ground, JD from Vegas. Yes. Not tonight, but no, for those that didn't join at the beginning of the show, Joe Schmo, where is JD? Robert, Wisconsin, JD. Yeah, I am in Appleton, Wisconsin. And I will be in Appleton, Wisconsin tomorrow for Dubs OT after the Warriors take on the Spurs, and then over to Green Bay for the 49ers and the Packers on Sunday. Of course, we'll have that for you here on KNBR and a part of the pre and post game for that as well. And then back in the Bay Monday for the Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets. And come out to Harmonic Brewing. Greg Silver's going to join me out at Harmonic Brewing on Monday. Again, I keep telling everybody Greg's going to be around. He's going to be around tomorrow. Like old times as Greg continues his transition into working with Papa. Great first week for Greg and Greg, the Gregs, Papa and Silver here on the Sports Leader. But yeah, Greg's going to be in the fold, as I've said, as much as he'll have it. But yeah, I am in Wisconsin, and I will say this, Joe Schmo. Yes, boots on the ground from Vegas. If the Warriors make it to Vegas, we will be broadcasting from Vegas. That I will say. We've got one more coming up between now and Vegas, the JD Traveling Roadshow that's gone to Portland and Utah and Hawaii and LA and a bunch of different places here lately where we've done Dubs OT shows like tonight from random NFL cities or close to NFL cities, as is the case here in Appleton. But no, we will be on hand in Vegas if the Warriors advance to the Emirates Cup. So yeah, that'll be absolutely the thing. And then shout out for Kyle Chung with the Gigantes lid making the chat as well. Somebody, hey, nice hat. Yeah, JD in Green Bay here tonight. All right, let's get to fun with numbers here, and then we'll take a look at the scoreboard and call it a night. Do we have the thing?
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
Yeah, Warriors get the win. Fun with numbers, 12-3 overall. Big win for them, 7-2 on the road. Now 3-0, as we've talked about a lot in the Emirates Cup. Things are getting close in Denver, though. The Warriors need Dallas to win. That would clinch the group play stage advancement for the Warriors to the quarterfinals. It would basically, if Dallas beats Denver tonight in the game that everybody's watching on ESPN right now, if Dallas wins that game, they're up by 4, then the Warriors are 1 win away from Vegas and the semifinals of the Emirates NBA Cup. Warriors continuing to dominate on the road. They've won 24 of the last 30 on the road, which the Warriors hadn't done since the 2017-18 season, winning that many games consecutively or over that span on the road. That dates back to last year as well. Warriors are 3-0 against the Pelicans and have won 6 of the last 8 against the Pelicans. They are fortunate to be getting the Pelicans early in the year with the Pelicans as woefully banged up as they have been. Pelicans won the bench battle tonight, but the Warriors lead the NBA still in bench scoring with 54.2 points per game overall. The Warriors bench 11-1 when they score at least 40 points, and the Warriors bench in the game tonight did end up with 43. The Pelicans bench had 44. So one of the few times this season where the Warriors were outscored by an opponent bench, but it doesn't matter. Warriors still get the win. Warriors are improving in clutch games as well. 7th clutch game for the Warriors within 5 points with 5 or less minutes left. And the Warriors are 5-2 now in 7 clutch games. The 2 losses to the Clippers, we're going to keep an eye on that throughout the course of the year. They're 4-1 now in games decided by 6 points or less. The lone defeat Monday down in Inglewood against the Clippers. And the Warriors are 8-0 and they have at least 50 rebounds, 52 rebounds, and out-rebounding the Pelicans 52-43 in this one. Some individual numbers. Andrew Wiggins, season-high 30. First 30-point game of the season for Wiggs. 8th time he's had 30 or more in his career with the Warriors. 48th time he's had 30 or more in his career. He made all 5 field goal attempts in the first quarter, 13 points in the first quarter, 3 for 3 from 3. And yeah, Wiggins getting the job done there. Draymond Green, 11 points. 3 of his 4 3-point attempts. Again, Draymond is just shooting a 3-ball well. He is striping it. So another night where the Warriors win when Draymond makes at least 3 3-pointers, 56-7 all-time in regular season games. Warriors have won 16 of the last 17 games where he's made at least 3 3-pointers. And yeah, Draymond doing it on the boards in particular late in the game tonight. So taking a quick look at the scoreboard, Dallas leading at Denver 89-84 with 1:30 to go in the third quarter. In that one, and now 90-84 Dallas. Dallas is led by as many as 24. The Nuggets with Nikola Jokic back, Jamal Murray playing. They don't have Gordon, but they do have Michael Porter Jr. going in this one, and Dallas with the 6-point lead again. If the Mavs win, the Warriors advance to the quarterfinals in the Emirates Cup. Looking at some other games, Philly got a win, rare win for Philly as they improve to 3-12 on the season. Philly tonight got the job done at home against Brooklyn. Boston won at Washington 100-96. So the Celtics continue their winning ways, 13-3 through the first 16 games for the defending champs. But of course, the Warriors hold one of those three as they hold one of the Oklahoma City Thunder's 4. Thunder idle tonight. Milwaukee beat Indiana 129-117. Atlanta fell in Chicago 136-122. Houston beat Portland 116-88. So the Rockets now are 12-5 in the early going this season and 8-2 at home. We've talked about Dallas and Denver, and the Clippers up big right now at home against Sacramento, 51-35. Clippers led by as many as 25, so the Kings are on their comeback heat. DeMar DeRozan playing for Sacramento, and that one for the first time in a while. The Kings have the band back together. They've got Sabonis back playing. They got DeRozan back playing. Fox has been doing his thing with some of those guys out, and the Kings were down 25, now down 16, 51-35, minute and a half gone by in the third quarter there in Southern California. All right, that'll do it. Big thanks to Kyle Chung. Wonderful effort, Kyle. Appreciate you, my friend, in his first voyage here on Dubs OT as we get some new faces. Kyle, you want to give a final thought, my man? You crack that mic open and just, I don't know, it's your world. Just don't swear.
No, yeah, I appreciate it. You know, this is a fun little show. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been watching this for at least a year now, and excited for the journey. Appreciate all the people in the chat, all the love, all the support. Like I said, look forward to being here, and man, go Dubs! What a win! What a Friday! What a week!
Yeah, what a week, what a win, what a Friday. Well said, Kyle Chung. Welcome, Kyle Chung, to the Dubs OT family here officially. He's been doing stuff, as he mentioned, for the last year behind the scenes. Not always on camera, occasionally on camera in the Greg Silver studio cam, but not at the forefront with the microphone until tonight, and not running the show along with Anthony Garcia, cutting stuff up as well, and really helping get the job done in our San Francisco studios, allowing us to do this as we do. So that'll do it. Greg Silver tomorrow back with us here, and join us at Harmonic on Monday for the Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets. We'll be on with Dubs OT from Harmonic then, and Just Dubs tomorrow as well, 11 until noon for Just Dubs. As that will be from beautiful Appleton, Wisconsin, as I gear up for the 49ers and the Packers on Sunday. So for Kyle and Anthony and Greg, I'm JD. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning right here on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.